morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Thursday, September 10th, 2015. If you want to follow us on Twitter, go to CATEX TV. Lloyd's of London released their interim results this morning, and they showed that a challenging period for investments, as well as the continuing drop in insurance rates, has caused its pre-tax profits for the first half of the year to fall by more than 25%. Profits fell to about 1.19 billion pounds, or about 1.9 billion US dollars. They've seen a 4.6% decrease in premium price on renewal business during the period. Their investment returns dipped by about 340 million pounds. They've also seen the combined ratio dip by 2 points down to 89.5%, which is still pretty good actually. Major risk events, including the German Wings disaster, the Pemex oil rig explosion in Mexico, contributed about 2.7% to the combined ratio. Looking ahead, Lloyd's noted that the claims coming in from the explosion at the Chinese port of Tianjin are likely to have an impact, but they don't expect it to exceed its market share on any of the affected lines. The backers of retro ILS fund CATCo, Tony Belisle and Company, have agreed to sell the company to Markel. The business will operate as Markel CATCo following the completion of the acquisition, and Mr. Belisle will continue to run the entity. Sources said that CATCo's earnings before interest, tax, depreciation are about $40 million a year. With the acquisition of CATCo, Markel acquires a manager with an estimated $2.8 billion of assets under management. The company runs a listed fund worth about $300 million. And this provides the critical ILS entity that Markel has been looking for to really ramp up and join the big leagues. It's a very positive move for them. Everest Reinsurance announced that the Lloyd's Franchise Board has provided an in-principle approval for the creation of a new Everest syndicate at Lloyd's. It's going to be Syndicate 2786. The syndicate's going to be managed under a turnkey arrangement with Asta Managing Agency. They're looking to secure final approvals and begin underwriting, with business beginning on January 1st, 2016. Everest is going to be the sole capital provider of the syndicate, with initially about $150 million US of stamp capacity. Axis Capital is teaming up with the Blackstone Group to launch a new hedge fund reinsurer, with capital raising expected to begin later this year. Fundraising for the new venture will begin during the fourth quarter. It's hoped to begin underwriting on 1/1/16. Raging floodwaters broke through a berm last Thursday, actually earlier today, in Japan, swamping a city near Tokyo, washing away houses. About 30,000 people have fled their homes. There have been no reports of casualties, but rescue officials say they're overwhelmed with pleas for help. The Kinagawa River broke through a flood bank, sending water gushing into the eastern half of the city of Joso, which is a city of 60,000 people about 30 miles northeast of Tokyo. The scenes on the television are striking. The flooding is approximately about 10 to 12 feet deep throughout the entire city. The British Air flight that saw its left engine explode at McCarran International Airport in Las Vegas yesterday, and seeing everybody safely evacuated from the plane, there are now reports indicating that the fire suppression system in the cargo hold and on the engine did not work. The pilot noted that an engine fire had in fact developed. That signal came on, but sources are saying that when he hit the fire suppression system after it was not starting automatically, apparently the fire was not extinguished. This is why the appearance of the fire equipment there was necessary, because had the fire not been extinguished, there could have been an explosion. Meanwhile, commentators are saying that scenes of passengers who apparently evacuated down the slides carrying their luggage, and rolling luggage at that, as they scampered along the runway trying to get away from the plane, point out again the absurdity of people walking down the slides with cargo and luggage in hand. The Bank of England said today that the UK's economic prospects remain positive, and that market turmoil in China has not shaken their view that the time for a rate increase is approaching. The BOE said that they believe inflation is going to pick up around the end of the year, and they said that they do not view any of the external events from China to be materially affecting anything going on in Britain. Speaking of China, the Chinese Premier Li Keqiang, speaking at an event in the Chinese city of Dalian earlier today, said that his country is on track to hit its 7% growth rate, despite difficulties brought on by the recent stock market crash. According to a reporter who was in the audience, the premier seemed to be under pressure and looked nervous in front of the audience comprised of business and political leaders from around the world. But the commentator said overall, the Chinese premier wanted to give the illusion, at least, that Chinese economy was still stable, but these are difficult times. The Chinese stock market began a sharp slump in June, which still seems to be heading downward despite about $100 billion in Chinese government intervention. It should be noted that Mr. Li, before he became Chinese premier, was famously quoted in public as saying that gross domestic product is a man-made figure. And as a result, because it's an unofficial figure and man-made, it can be changed and it doesn't mean anything. Well, I would submit to you that standing in front of the business leader in Dalian, the premier now realizes that it does mean something. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.